What is meant by impulse? Formula Ft 等于 mv 减 mu。So 你讲 change in momentum。Explain how follow-through can increase the impulse acted onto the disc. The disc. Follow-through means you pushed it for longer time before you release it. So the time is more. The impulse will be more. The change in momentum will be more. The change in momentum meaning the momentum given to the disc. So your answer, you put follow through increases the time. And then second, you say impulse is higher. Greater change in momentum. Of this. Then you can also say final velocity is greater. Okay, C, metal ball of mass 500 grams is released from the height 10 meters. Calculate the weight of the metal ball. So you just times 9.81. So 0.5 times 9.81, C1. Okay, I will do 10 here. Five Newton. Number two, the velocity of the metal ball just before it reached the ground. This one, you use the VUAT. You have to memorize the four formulas. Number one, V is U plus AT. V squared, U squared 加 2AS. S equals to U plus V over 2T, and then else one, the velocity before reach the ground, that is the final velocity. The initial will be before the fall. Before reach the ground, this is the V. If U is 0. Okay, why U is 0? Because you release the ball from rest. A 等于9点8 A is 10. And then the distance fallen is 10 meters. So we got UVS, UAS, 找 V, equation number 2. Now, S is 这边我用下面 as positive，上面 as negative， so 全部都是 positive。Acceleration is always downward. Initial velocity downward, final also downward. Distance or displacement also downward. So everything is downward. I change the direction down as positive. I don't have the negative here anymore. 200 v 等于 square root of 2. Okay, 200. .14. Okay, number 3, the impulsive force act on the metal ball if the time of impact is 0.5. Now, 这里 velocity before touch ground 是 14.14. Then what happens when it hit the ground? When it hit the ground, this one, the velocity changes immediately, it drops to 0. Because the ground cannot be pressed, it's rigid surface. The moment you hit immediately, your speed will drop to 0, comes to rest. 所以你的 U 是哪一个？你的 U 不是上面这边的 U 啊，你的 U 是这一个 U， 我们 focus 在这一边 collision 的这一边 ，OK？ 所以你的 U 是14 ，V 是0，然后它给你 time of impact 是0.5 ，OK？ 算你的 impulsive force， so F mv 减 U over time 0.5。time 0.0 minus 14.14 Newton. The minus is just direction, doesn't matter. The magnitude, 14.14. Okay, so minus the direction of the force is upward, meaning that the direction of the force is acting on the ball is up. 这个 minus. 你会 Newton's third law 讲，你还有一个 force 是 act 在 ground， 所以这个两个是 equal 的，两个都是14.14。This one is this one. Okay, now for question D, explain the suitability of each characteristics of batting equipment set. Determine the most appropriate set of batting equipment, give reason for your choice. Okay, our main goal is to improve performance and safety during cricket matches. Okay, number 1, let's make a table here. Okay, suggestion number 1, mass of the bat. Greater mass, okay. 1.5 kg. Why greater mass? So that you can show that it has greater momentum. The bat, when you swing it, the bat will have greater momentum to be transferred to the ball. Material, carbon fiber. Strong, will not break easily. And sole shoes with spike. Better grip. prevent sliding, better grip. Okay. 4, thickness of leg pad. Okay. Increase time of impact. Answer is W. Okay, question 10. What is meant by 240 V110 watts? When connected to 240 volt, iron will convert 1100 joule energy per second. Okay, open the aircon here. Calculate the current that flows through the electrical iron. Okay, so we list down all the formulas in the power. T 等于 IV。你直接可以用这个了。Okay, 你有 double formula， 你有 PIV I square R V square over R 三个 power 的 equation。Depending on what is given, you choose the right one. I 等于 T OK 110 4.5. The resistance of electrical iron. So we use one of this. Power and voltage. So P当你找到 resistance 的时候 ，resistance 是 fix 了的 ，for 那个 for the device is fixed。Meaning that if I give it another voltage, if let's say I give it 120 volt, what is the power? Use back the same resistance, put back the formula again. 你的 R 是 fix 了57.6，然后你放新的 value of V 120，你就可以找到它的 power 是多少。如果我给它60 volt, okay, 60 here, R is still the same, 57. Okay, then you get the power again. So 你算出来的 resistance 啊，那个 component 是 fixed 的。Okay, now next one. For C, give reason for your answer by showing the calculation step for a period of 1 hour usage. Okay, you are asked to buy a new iron and then two choices, which one to choose. The goal is to, what's the goal? The goal is to save more for savings. Okay, so savings, you need to pick the one with the lower cost. Then you have to calculate first, what is the energy produced for each one. Use the E equals to power on time. One hour, you have to change to second. So pick the lower one, will be lower cost. Okay, 4 hair dryers, RSTU, with different specification. You are required to determine the safer hair dryer for drying hair faster. Your choice. Okay, choice number 1. Size of fans. More air. Okay, now for the C1 just now, that one. So you show your calculation, and then you write down the reason. Lower energy, less energy consumption. Forgot the description. Less energy consumption, less cost. Okay, now we are at D. So number 1, big fan, more air is produced. 也可以讲 the mass flow rate. 什么是 mass flow rate? 多少 mass of air flowing in 1 second. If you want to be very technical, mass flow rate higher. Okay. More layman term is just say more air is produced. Okay, fuse 10 amp or 8 ampere 这个你要算出来它的 current 需要是多少？你要先知道它的 operating current 是多少先？Power equals IB, okay, I is power over V. 8.33 M。你选，就是说你要选高过它的 operating current slightly higher, the closest one to the 8.33, but need to be higher than it. 10 M. Okay. Reason why you choose 10 M? So that it will not uh, cut the current, it will not melt during normal operating condition. Thickness of heating element, thin, so higher resistance. This one, recall back, the resistance is affected by length higher, cross-sectional area. Smaller area, higher resistance. Two factors that affect the resistance of a wire. High resistivity. High resistivity. Why high resistivity? Because resistance is the main reason heat is produced. So more heat is more heat is. Okay, try question 11 first. The last one. Okay, let's look at answers. Question 11, A1. Meaning of thermionic emission. Free electrons emitted from heated metal surface. Compare extra high tension. So EHT diagram. Deflection angle. Yes. The traction force of the plate on the cathode ray. Relate extra high tension and the angle of deflection. B. Describe what happens to the cathode rays when EHT connection terminal is reversed. You have to make it 4 points. Four key points. When EHT is reversed. First, you talk about the terminal switch. Okay, bottom plate become positive, top plate become negative. Then you say cathode ray. What is cathode ray? Cathode ray is negatively charged. Okay? Cathode ray is electron, they are negatively charged. Then negatively charged is attracted by positive. Positive plate. Then you say ray curves downward. Ray curves downward, force is downward. Okay, now look at C. Diagram shows mobile phone with specification 9 volt, 15 watts, and a battery charger that is to be used. Explain how to build a battery charger for a mobile phone based on the specification required. Okay, they give you 3 points: type of input, power supply, ratio, and the electronic components. So你现在是要charge 那个 battery. You have to explain how you charge the battery. The battery of the phone operate at, given the rating here, 9 volts, 15 watts. How much voltage is from the power, the wall socket? 240 volts. So, 你要用 transformer. So you have your primary coil, you have your secondary coil. So basically, your battery charger, one is connected to the outlet, one is connected to charge the battery. You need to step down the voltage from 240 down to 9 volts so that you can charge the battery with the correct voltage. So the question asking type of input power supply. What type of input power supply do you need? What is the type of power supply for transformer to function? That is AC. Okay, 你要用的是 alternating current. Why要用 alternating current? So that the current can be induced, or you say so that it produces alternating magnetic field. So the current will be current or voltage will be fuse. Okay, so that is your input power supply. Ratio of number of turns of transformer. The transformer, the formula is N Vs over Vp, secondary over primary, the number of turns secondary over primary. 这个 secondary over primary 我们叫它 turn ratio. So what is the turn ratio that you should get is Vs over Vp. So this one Vs over Vp, secondary voltage over primary voltage. Secondary is output 9 volt over 240 volt. Over 80. Okay, and then reason why you want to use 3 over 80. Okay. This is a step down transformer. So you say to reduce the output voltage, your turn ratio is less than 1. Meaning that here is higher turn, here is lower turn. So to reduce electronic component and number of components for rectification process. Rectification 是这里是 AC， 你 produce 这边的 current 也是 AC 的。你 charge 你的 battery 的时候，你的 battery 不能够接受 AC 的 ，it has to receive DC。所以你这边中间要有一个 component 是可以转换这个去 DC 的，那个过程我们叫 rectification。So you need a rectifier to change the AC to the DC. What is the component of rectifier? The rectifier consists of 4 diodes. So you say 4 diodes. If I want to draw, this one is in your electronics chapter. How does the rectifier look like? Using 4 diodes. This is your rectifier. So here is the input. This is the AC. Then this is the battery that you want to charge. 这里是 DC 的。How is this DC? Remember we did label the current 加减。首先 current 是你跟着那个 diode 了，记得不能够 flow against 那个 diode 了。So here the current go like this. 来到这边，它可以 flow 上或者下，可是它不能够 flow 回去。You cannot flow to where it came from. So the only choice is down. Exit. This is the first terminal. And then when the terminal changes, then the main current goes backwards. So you can see the current through the battery before and after the change in direction is still the same direction. So battery experience the current DC. So this circuit the arrangement main function is to convert AC 去 DC. 所以你的 rectifier 一定是 after transformer 的transformer 是用来 step down 去掉你要的 voltage set，过后 rectifier 是把它转去 DC， 全部那种 device is charged by DC. AC cannot charge one, cannot charge object. This battery only can receive DC. Right, so that is the 4 diodes. Okay, so reason you say to convert AC to DC. Okay, then we got what else we can improve? 你转 AC 去 DC 的时候 ，AC 的 graph 是上下有 positive 有 negative 就是换 direction 的意思。首先这里是加，这里是减，然后 second half 反过来，所以你的 graph 去 negative region。本来是这样嘛，所以接下来我换去 DC 了，是 DC 是全部那种 negative 的会 flip 上来，所以有 DC graph should be。可是这个 graph current fluctuates, rise and fall, rise and fall. We don't want that to happen. What we do is we want to smooth out the current so that when it drops, there's not, it doesn't drop that steep. It will slowly, gradually drop. Okay. So how do we make this happen? 这个我们叫 to smoothing. How do you smooth the current out? You put a capacitor over here. Capacitor 一定要 parallel to 那个 battery or 那个 any component。这个 capacitor 的功能是它 store charge. It will store electron here. Okay, so whenever the AC current drops, 这个会 supply 那个 charge. That's why 你这边不会突然间 sudden drop. Okay, 不要忘记你的这个 power supply 是 changing one, can rise and fall, rise and fall. When it's falling, this capacitor will release the charge to supply to the battery. That's why this one is not as steep. So capacitor is to smooth out the current. So you mentioned that one in here. When this point is not given, when you say add capacitor, use capacitor. smooth out current. Last point, last point. And you can also add, you mentioned capacitor parallel to it from the, what must be parallel to battery. Same reason. Smooth out. Okay, enough. Okay, now this is actual SPM paper 2022. Try out the question.